Good afternoon, Cadet First Lieutenant Deba and the rest of Golf Light. Today, I'm going to be giving you a brief on how to play Icarus. Now, remember that Icarus is a game that we're going to need to know for field training and for TD11, so please watch the entirety of the video for your own benefit. Remember, I'm taking time out of my day to do this for you guys as your physical fitness officer, but please just take advantage of this great opportunity. As an overview, we're going to be going over an overview, how to play, how to win, a summary, and common questions that you might get before or during the play of Icarus. Now, how to play Icarus. To preface this, Icarus is a simulation of aircraft warfare intended to teach air battle management, strategy, and teamwork during field training. Now, obviously, we are not able to mess around with aircraft warfare before we go into the military, especially if you're not going to be piloting an aircraft yourself, but we do have Icarus. Now, Icarus develops your leadership and your followership. And so basically how you're going to play, as we rehearsed on TD10, is, if you can see my cursor at this AOC right here. AOC stands for Air Operations Center, and your AOC director is going to be standing right in front of it, holding a dodgeball. And all of you guys are going to be lined up. We're going to be lined up right behind this AOC center. Now, the AOC director is going to be he has the power to direct all of us. Say that this is Golf Flight, this is, Echo Flight. Whoever's commanding us is only going to be able to send us out individually, one by one, to either the right side or the left side. Now, before we go to base or a SAM, base is going to be your offense, SAM is going to be your defense, right? You're going to have to touch the comm station with one hand and then either grab a ball from base and go onto offense, try to hit one of their cones, or you're going to go touch the comm station cone and then go stand at a SAM. Now, SAM stands for Service to Air Missile. These are going to be like your defensive kind of missiles. So if anybody from, say, Echo Flight's team decides to send an offensive guy into our base, our SAMs, our defensive people, are going to be able to throw what we call ordinances. Ordinances are going to be held on base. They're going to be held on base, and you can only throw one ordinance at a time. This is going to be your dodgeballs. They're basically dodgeballs, but in the light of Icarus, we're going to call them ordinances, and just for this presentation. So, what I've gone over, you're going to either be on offense or defense, and you can only go one at a time. You're going to have dodgeballs here, and as long as there's dodgeballs here, the AOC commander the AOC director is going to be able to send people out. But if there's not balls there, AOC commander cannot send people out. So you go out, touch the comm station cone, and then you either go to base, SAM, with a dodgeball. Now, the last element of this is going to be your loggies. Your loggies are going to be taken from the team, but they won't be standing in line behind the AOC center. They're going to be standing in the sidelines right here. They're going to be standing in the sidelines. And every time a ball is thrown, it is their duty to go out into the field, grab a ball from wherever it had landed. So say it landed over here or over here. It can land anywhere, and it is your duty to retrieve it and bring it back to base. Bring it back to base. Now, that is your one and only job as a loggie if you get assigned a loggie. It is to bring balls back to base one at a time. You may not throw them to other players. You may not throw them onto base. You may only take a ball, run it back to base, place it, and go back to the sidelines. You may not interfere with play in any circumstance at all. That is your only duty as a loggie. And I want to make that clear. Now, how to win. Now, as I've mentioned, there are four, we'll call them centers of gravity. There are four centers of gravity, COG, and that is your SAMs, right here, your bases right here, your comm stations, these 3, and then your AOC, these 3, which is being guarded by the Air Operations Center. Now, if these centers of gravity are called centers of gravity for a reason, because if Echo Flight were to send a bunch of offensive players to go and eliminate all 3 of our SAMs, then that means that we have no defense whatsoever. Remember that if there are balls in our base and our AOC director sends out people, if there is no SAM, then we have no defense. We can only send out offense. Once a cone is knocked down, this station, like say this SAM is knocked down, this station is no longer usable. We can only use these two SAMs from that point forward when that cone is knocked over. Now, to completely win the game, all 3 of the SAMs need to be knocked over. And this, keep in mind, this can be all 4 of our bases. All 4 of our base cones could be knocked over. All 3 of our comm station cones can be knocked over. And all 3 of our AOCs can be knocked over. But it has to be all of the same type of center of gravity, right? Because if you think about it, in a real life scenario, if we have no defense, then it's mission failed, because we have no defense. We have no way to protect ourselves. We only have offense. If we have no base, we have no offense. So it's only defense, but at the end of the day, these defensive cones are going to get eliminated one way or another. If our communication systems are not up and running, then how are we supposed to communicate from the AOC director to the people at the bases or the people at the defense? People like comm stations need to also be up. And then if we have no Air Operations Center, then we have nothing. We have no planes at all. And so if any 4 of these center of gravity, if all of them are eliminated, then that is when either we lose the game if it's in our area, and if they lose the game if it's in their area. So this is where play becomes really strategy based, because based on how they're playing, based on who their commander is, who their AOC director is, we can form a play. We can form our own AOC director can form a strategy based on how they're playing. So I don't know if you remember last training day, they were only sending offense. They had no defense people at SAMs at all whatsoever. So we would just send offense at all of their SAMs, all of their bases, or all of their comm stations, eliminate all of them, and win within 2 minutes. That's what would happen. But we need to build a strategy next TD based on how they're playing. So if they're playing heavy on the left side, heavy on their left side and light on their right side, then we might want to send a ton of people to the right side. Or if they're playing back mainly, if they're playing highly defensively, then we can maybe try to eliminate all of their front cones and minimize the amount of players on our team that are getting eliminated. So these are just some of the strategies that you might want to keep in mind if you become the AOC director. Now, in summary, I've gone over an overview, how to play, how to win, a summary, and here are some common questions. May other players switch places with others in line? No. Once you throw a ball and you go back into the line, let's go back. Once you throw a ball, say you're on offense and you throw a ball and you have to go back into line, you may only go to the back of the line. You cannot switch places with people. You cannot switch places with loggies during the game. You must go to the back of the line and wait your turn so that everybody gets a chance to play. What happens when there are no ordinances on base? I think I've discussed this, but if there are no ordinances or dodgeballs on base at all, the AOC commander cannot send people out of the AOC. He has to wait until loggies have put balls back on base before he can send someone out on base to grab a ball and go either on offense or to the SAM. Can loggies interfere with play? Loggies, no. Loggies cannot interfere with play at all other than bringing back balls to base. So this means no blocking cones with their body, no blocking ordinances with their body. You cannot touch other players. You cannot throw ordinances to other players. Your only job is to find balls, find ordinances, retrieve them, and put them back on base. There's no guarding, or else that is an interference, and that cone gets automatically knocked down. Now, last question that I received was, must players throw ordinances to eliminate a target, or essentially a kamikaze? And this means no, kamikazes are not. So basically a kamikaze is if an AOC director sends out someone from the AOC to a comm station, then to a base, and then onto offense. And that is basically not throwing the ball at all, but running into the cone or knocking it over with the ball still in your hand. That is a kamikaze. No, that is not permitted. Kamikazes are not permitted. Suicide missions are not very realistic. And also, if you have a ball in hand and you run into another offensive or defensive player with a ball in their hand, then both of you are being sent to the graveyard. I think that is an element of Icarus that I forgot to mention. But if somebody on defense were to hit a player of their offense in our zone with the ball, then they go to their graveyard. If anybody is hit with a ball, they go to the graveyard. But additionally, if two players run into each other without having thrown their balls, or their ordinances, then they are sent to the graveyard. Thank you for listening to this brief in its entirety. And I hope you got something out of this, because we're going to be playing Icarus again on TD11, which is next week. So please, again, look at the rule book. Look at anything that you might be confused on. And once again, either rewatch this video or maybe ask me some questions, or Cadet First Lieutenant Deba, because, we are some of your best sources. So thank you, and enjoy the day off.